today's lesson is Internet cookies. Helpful tool or privacy concern? Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to be talking about Internet cookies. Now, a cookie, of course, is kind of a biscuit, as they call it in England. It's a round, flat pastry that is sometimes hard, sometimes soft. We have different flavors of cookies. We have chocolate chip cookies. We have peanut butter cookies. We have sugar cookies. There are all sorts of different kinds of cookies out there, but we're not really talking about those kinds of cookies, are we?
No, we are not in any way, unfortunately, because, of course, baked cookies are delicious and fun, and people like to eat them. These types of cookies have no flavor. They have no substance. They're just packets of data in your computer. And not only are they no fun, they can actually bring trouble to you by maybe infecting your computer with viruses or certainly giving other people the ability to see exactly what you're doing with your computer, what websites you're visiting, what icons you're clicking on, and what things you might be downloading. Now, some cookies are useful on your computer. They might save you time, stop you from logging in constantly to websites you visit quite frequently. Other cookies are basically there as little spies, little trackers, kind of following you around and seeing what you do, where you go, and what you look at on the internet. But the good news is, as more people become aware of these cookies and more people become kind of annoyed by having their computers or other companies with software and websites get annoyed with them spying on them, there are more ways to sort of limit the cookies and control exactly who knows what you're doing on your computer when they're giving you these rather boring, flavorless, not chocolate-filled cookies on your computer.
Oh,
Bad cookies.
Bad cookies indeed. So
Yes.
we're asking the question, are they a helpful tool or are they a privacy concern? Let's find out what this is all about. Let's listen to the first paragraph and we'll come right back to talk about it.
Internet cookies, helpful tool or privacy concern? When visiting new websites, you've no doubt occasionally seen banners asking you to accept or reject cookies. Most people accept these internet cookies without thinking about it. However, due to their surveillance capabilities, cookies have increasingly become a topic of concern in recent years.
大家好，标题中介绍名词 privacy， 它的意思是隐私或是独处，也可以是隐私权的意思。例如 To protect his privacy, Ian does not put any pictures of himself online. 为了保护隐私 Ian 不在网络上放任何他的照片。或者 The movie star couple wants to protect their privacy from reporters. 这对电影明星夫妇想要保护隐私不被记者报道。下一个看到副词 occasionally， 表示偶尔或是有时。例如 Harry went for a long walk, occasionally stopping to take a picture. Harry 走了很长一段路，偶尔停下来拍拍照。或是 Eating ice cream every day isn't good for your health, but it's okay to enjoy treats like that occasionally. 每天吃冰淇淋对你的健康不好，但偶尔享受那样的美食是可以的。后面看到名词 banner， 它的意思是网站的横幅或是横幅广告，也可以是游行的横布条。例如 A large banner on the building announced the store's grand opening. 大楼上的巨大横幅宣布了商店的盛大开幕。也可以说 A banner for the company was flown in front of the office building. 办公大楼前飘扬着该公司的横幅。再来介绍名词 surveillance， 表示监视或是监督。可以说The murder suspect was under surveillance by the police. 该凶嫌受到警方的监视。继续看到动词 capability， 它的意思是性能、功能，也可以是能力或是才能的意思。例如 The robot has the capability to learn from and adapt to new situations. 机器人具有从新环境中学习和适应的能力。再看一个例子 Our product has several exciting capabilities perfect for any modern workplace. 我们的产品有许多符合现代职场的惊人功能。
Okay, so again, in today's lesson, we are asking the question, are internet cookies a helpful tool or are they a privacy concern? Okay, if something's helpful, of course, it can be useful for us. And yes, indeed, cookies can help us in a lot of ways. But we're also concerned about privacy, which means we don't want other people to know about what we're thinking or what we're doing. That's what privacy is. For example, a lot of people in certain European countries like to live by themselves. They don't like to live with extended families because they like their privacy. They don't want to have a bunch of other people around them all the time knowing about what they're thinking, what they're doing. They just want to be left alone.
Exactly right. That's why, of course, we close our curtains when we're at home. If you're changing your clothes, you don't want people looking in at you. You want privacy. And in the same way, you wouldn't write your personal diary on the internet, allowing everyone to read your inner thoughts and all that kind of personal information. So you want privacy there too, which is why having cookies maybe invading that privacy or taking that privacy away is a big concern. It's a big worry for people. Let's find out more about it in the first part of the article. It says, when visiting new websites, you've no doubt occasionally seen banners asking you to accept or reject cookies. This is a pretty common experience for anyone who spent any time surfing the internet, especially when you're going to new websites, maybe for shopping or planning holidays, booking tickets, things like that. And so you've no doubt, we're quite sure, no problem in believing that you've seen these things before. Occasionally, you've seen these banners, right? We're quite confident that once in a while or occasionally is one of these words of frequency, when you do something just once in a while, maybe, a couple times a year, maybe once a month or something like that. So it's at the far end. It's very different from all the time or regularly or constantly. No, occasionally is at the opposite end of frequency. It's only once in a while. So occasionally you've seen these banners asking you to accept or reject cookies. Now, a banner here is we're talking about the kind of way that information is displayed on the computer on a website. A banner in the real world can be a large sign that kind of stretches across the room. It might be quite long in a horizontal kind of way, but not in a vertical kind of way. So like a big wide band or a big wide stripe of fabric or signage that has a lot of information written on it. And you can hang a banner. Maybe at a party you would have a banner that says, "Happy Birthday, John," or something like that. So you're kind of hanging it up as a sign that is easy to read from left to right. If we're thinking about a website, this will be an ad or a window that might pop up, a graphic that might pop up as you're looking at a computer screen, and it will have information kind of stretching from one side to another. If you've opened up a banking app, they might put up a big banner telling you that the app will be unavailable this weekend because they're doing work on it. They're putting up a banner in that way to really get your attention so that you notice this information. So as you go on to this new website, a big sign or a big banner will pop up asking you to accept or reject cookies. It will often say, "This website uses cookies. Do you want to accept them, reject them, or customize them?" You can pick which of the cookies you will allow to go into your computer. Now, as it says, most people are okay with this.
Yeah, I'm usually okay with it myself. Usually when they ask me this question, I say, yes, it's okay, because I'm afraid that if I don't agree to it, then I won't be able to access the website. I wonder what would happen if I said, no, I am not going to accept cookies. They probably simply will not let you use their website. So yes, indeed, lots of people accept these internet cookies without thinking too much about it. They don't really worry about it too much. Okay, whatever, I'll accept the cookies, and then I can use the website. However, due to their surveillance capabilities, cookies have increasingly become a topic of concern in recent years. Okay, so they're not just these innocent little cookies going into your computer or sending out information to other websites to let them know where you are or whatever. They actually may be dangerous, so they have these surveillance capabilities. Surveillance means somebody can basically look at you and check out what you're doing. And yes, indeed, there will be websites or companies online that will be able to track your activity. Usually it's kind of innocent. They just want to see what kind of websites you go to so that they can design advertisement for you to check out, and maybe you might buy something that you would like. So that's what surveillance is. They just kind of keep an eye on you. Of course, in society, we have surveillance cameras all over the place, so it's very difficult to steal a motorcycle nowadays because you'll be filmed by a surveillance camera. And a capability is just the ability to do something. So these cookies have these surveillance capabilities. They can keep track of us, they can watch us, they can know what we're doing.
Absolutely right. And they have become, as it says there, increasingly a topic of concern in recent years. As more people use more websites and as the use of cookies becomes more widespread, people start to get a little worried about their privacy as they feel it's being taken away from them more and more in more and more places. Let's find out exactly what cookies can do in both a good and positive way, and who invented these cookies in the first place in the next part of the article.
Cookies are basically small packets of data that are passed between communicating programs. They were first used in computing in the 1970s, and a programmer named Lou Montulli became the first person to use them for web communications in 1994.
第二部分介绍名词 programmer， 指的是程式设计师。举例来说， Jim is a programmer who works for a company that makes video games. Jim 是一名程式设计师，在一家制作影视游戏的公司工作。或是 Olivia is a computer programmer for IBM. Olivia 是 IBM 的电脑程式设计师。
Okay, so yeah, what exactly are cookies, or more specifically, what are internet cookies? And cookies are basically small packets of data that are passed between communicating programs. So here we've got a packet, a small packet, which is a small number of things all together. Sometimes when we have paper and we put them inside a larger envelope, we could call that a packet. Things are included inside that envelope. That's a packet. It's just a gathering of various things together in one place. So this is data that is all gathered into a small place. It's a small packet of data, maybe a small sampling of data, and these packets of information are passed between communicating programs. They kind of interact with each other.
Exactly right. So when your computer goes on to another website, it's like your computer and that website are shaking hands, and so some of these cookies, these packets of data, can get communicated and translated and sent from one to the other. It says they were first used in computing in the 1970s, and a programmer named Lou Montulli became the first person to use them for web communications in 1994. So they've been around quite a long time because, of course, computers really are about passing data around, right? Sharing data, that's kind of the main thing computers do in all sorts of ways for all sorts of purposes, but it's all about data. So they were used back in the 1970s, I guess, when computers were hooked up together physically, like on those old networks, those old local area networks or LANs or things like that. But then in the 1990s, a programmer named Lou Montulli, he was the first person to use them for web communications when computers became more frequently connected through phone lines in the early days of the internet. They were also finding ways to share this information through the phone line, through the internet connections, and so cookies were used in the same way, but now they were able to be used between computers that were much further apart, were not physically attached in some kind of way. So very common and a very convenient way of moving data around a computer network, both near and far. So let's find out how they're used more and more on the internet in the third and final part of our article coming up now.
Internet cookies are mainly used to track and manage the behavior and data of visitors to a website. For example, they can be used to keep track of what you've put in a virtual shopping cart, or to store account information like your password and username so that you don't have to log in every time you visit a site. In many ways, then, they're quite useful, as they help to enable a seamless browsing experience. However, not all cookies are created equal. Most importantly, there are big differences between first-party cookies and third-party cookies, with the latter kind raising considerable privacy concerns.
第三部分看到形容词 virtual， 表示电脑虚拟的，也可以是几乎的或是实质上的。例如 Virtual meetings became the norm for many businesses during the pandemic. 疫情大流行期间，虚拟会议成为许多企业的常态。也可以说The video game lets people explore a virtual fantasy world. 这款电玩游戏让人探索虚拟的幻想世界。最后看到形容词 seamless， 表示无缝的或是顺利的。可以说 The new scenes added to the TV show were seamless. 加入这个电视节目的新布景天衣无缝。最后一个例子 The transition between scenes in the movie was seamless. 电影场景之间的转换很流畅。
All right, so we've talked about what internet cookies are, but what are they used for? Well, here in the next part of our lesson, it says, Internet cookies are mainly used to track and manage the behavior and data of visitors to a website. So basically, they want to track visitors, they want to track the behavior, they want to check it out. They basically want to see what sorts of websites you're going to so that they, again, might be able to send you advertisements for things that you might like. And they also manage your behavior. In other words, they kind of make sure you don't do naughty things on their website or whatever. They're just kind of monitoring you, checking you out, making sure everything's okay. And yes, indeed, they manage the behavior and data of visitors to a website. If you go to a website, they'll have some information on you, and they can check you out to make sure you're okay, and also to see if they can send you any useful information in the future.
All right, so let's look at some of the things that they do all the time and things that they do to make our lives very convenient when using the internet. It says, for example, cookies, can be used to keep track of what you've put in a virtual shopping cart, or to store account information like your password and username so that you don't have to log in every time you visit a site. Two very convenient things there as examples of what cookies can do, and two things that I think a lot of internet users would appreciate and would miss if they weren't able to use cookies anymore. They can keep track of something. To keep track of it is basically just to follow it, keep your eye on it, and have an understanding of where it is and where it's going and where it's been. So if you're out at the park, you might sit on the bench, but you'll keep track of your kids. You'll kind of know where they're playing and who they're playing with, just sort of monitoring them in a casual kind of way, just paying attention to them. So they'll keep track of things you've put in your virtual shopping cart. When you go shopping on the internet, whether it's one of the really big websites like Amazon or Shopee, or maybe something a little smaller, maybe just like a small store website, but you do your shopping there, and it's as if you are physically in the store. They kind of have a little symbol of a shopping cart. You put 3 things in it. There'll be a little 3 over the shopping cart. And then at the end, of course, they'll list out all the things you want to buy, the price of everything, and then the total, and then you'll be ready to pay using a credit card. Well, that is a virtual shopping cart. When we say virtual in this way, we're talking about something that represents a real world thing, but in the internet or on a computer. So it looks like a shopping cart, but it isn't an actual physical metal and plastic shopping cart like we push around in the store, but in the computer world, online, it works in the same kind of way, all right? So if you're playing a video game and you're shooting aliens, you're using a virtual laser gun, right? It's not a real one in your hand. It's one created to be used in the computer world. So this internet or this computer shopping cart, cookies will keep track of what's in it. So that allows you to kind of switch from page to page, to go back and look at things you looked before, and it won't sort of erase your shopping cart. You won't have to fill it up every single time you change web pages or something like that. It's keeping track of all this stuff. It's also keeping track of your store account information, like your password and username, so that you don't have to log in every time you visit a site. Maybe you shop on that website a lot. Maybe you order food from that website a lot. So this allows you to go back and use it even after a few days or a week, and you don't have to log in your password, your username. That's the special name that your account for that website is kept under. You don't have to log in all of that stuff or write in all of that stuff all the time. The cookie will remember who you are and what your name is and all of that stuff to make your life easier, and so you don't waste so much time.
Right, so they'll know your username, basically the name you go by at this particular website. And yes, you can log in to the website or you can log off if you don't want to have them connected to you all the time. But yes, you won't have to log in every time to enter your username and your password. They'll know you in the future when you visit that site or that website. Now, in many ways, then, they're quite useful as they help to enable a seamless browsing experience. Now, of course, if you have a pair of pants or a shirt or something where two pieces of cloth come together and are sewn together, that is the seam, okay? And usually we can see the seam if we look at someone's clothing, but if you know what you're doing and if you're a good tailor, you can make it look seamless. You can make it look as if there isn't a seam there at all. So similarly, with the internet, you want to have a seamless browsing experience. You just don't want to have it interrupted or screwed up or whatever. You don't want to be thrown off the website and you have to sign in again. They want it to be as smooth as possible.
There you go. The same way that maybe your Easy card allows you seamless public transportation in the city. You can use that card on a bus, on a train, in a taxi, to rent a bike. You don't have to use different cards, for different systems. It's all very smooth. It's all sort of organized and connected together. It is very seamless. So those are the good cookies. Those are the cookies we like, the cookies that make our lives more efficient and stop us wasting time and having to remember passwords and usernames every time we log on to a site. However, not all cookies are created equal. Most importantly, there are big differences between first-party cookies and third-party cookies, with the latter kind, that's the third-party kind, raising considerable privacy concerns. So yeah, many of those cookies that make your life convenient are first-party cookies. They are organized by the website you are using in order to make using it easier, giving you that seamless experience. But then there's these third-party cookies, kind of introduced by outsiders, people you might not even know or care about or have any interest in, but they can still get into your computers. And those are the ones that give us considerable or great privacy concerns. And they're also the ones we'll be learning about tomorrow.
Exactly. And before we say goodbye today, we'd like to hear one more time from our Chinese teacher, Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始提到，在造访新网站时，你无疑偶尔会看到要求你接受或拒绝 cookie 的横幅。文中是用 banners asking you to 来表达要求你怎么样的横幅。那么在课文第二部分则提到一位名叫卢蒙特利的程式设计师 A programmer named Lou Montulli。 那这边我来介绍一下，名词后面接分词 VING 或 PP， 也就是用分词片语来修饰名词的用法。当我们碰到主格关系代名词 who, which 或是 that 引导的形容词子句，这时候可以省略关系代名词，然后把动词改为分词 VING 或是 PP 去修饰先行词。好，形容词子句如果是表示主动或进行时，那这时候动词就会改成现在分词 VING。 如果是表示被动的话，就会用过去分词 PP。 举例来说， The guy who is standing at the door is Pam's boyfriend。 站在门口的男子是 Pam 的男朋友。句子里面的 who is standing at the door 这是形容词子句， who is standing 可以直接简化成现在分词 standing， 句子就变成 The guy standing at the door is Pam's boyfriend。 那我们就看到啦，这时候名词 the guy 后面就是接现在分词 standing 来修饰。再看一个例句， The boy is holding a jar which is filled with marbles。 男孩手里拿着一个装满弹珠的罐子，其中的 which is filled with marbles 这是形容词子句，那么 which is filled 可以简化成这个过去分词 filled， 那就变成 The boy is holding a jar filled with marbles。 我们这时候看到名词 a jar 后面就接了过去分词 filled 来修饰它。好，那再看到课文第三部分第一句提到Internet cookies are mainly used to track and manage 然后下一句则提到 For example, they can be used to keep track of 那这两个句子都有使用到被动句型，主词 be used to 加上原形动词，表达被用来怎么样。这里的不定词 to be 是表达用途目的。例如 This jar is used to store sugar。 这个罐子是用来存放糖。补充一下，如果是 be used to 加上名词或动名词，则表示习惯于什么什么。那注意这边的 to 是介系词，所以我们后面是接名词或动名词。例如 She's used to getting up early in the morning。 他习惯早上早起。那至于如果是 used to 加上原形动词，则表示过去经常怎么样，过去一向是怎么样，这是用来表达过去的习惯或状况，带有现在情况已经改变的意思。所以刚例句如果我是说 She used to get up early in the morning， 这是表达她以前早上都会早起，那现在已经不是这样了。好，那以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Privacy. Famous people often struggle to maintain privacy in their daily lives. Occasionally. Joshua occasionally visits his grandparents in the countryside. Banner. I saw a banner advertising a big sale, so I decided to click on it. Surveillance. Banks are typically kept under constant surveillance to prevent robberies. Capability.
The app has the capability to track users' locations in real time.
Virtual.
The game allows players to explore a virtual world full of hidden treasures.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.